Hello everyone, welcome back to Callsign Trolley Models for day 3 of the SH-60 Foxtrot Seahawk from Kitty Hawk in 1/35th scale. And in the previous video, we got a lot of the paint done, the base paint of the interior for the Seahawk done, and today we're doing a little bit of the detail painting for the interior as well. Now, my club here, my local club, the Military Modelers Club of Louisville, we host a workshop every Saturday morning where a bunch of us all get together. We have a rented out space and we do modeling together for about a few hours. It's open from 6 to noon. So we got a lot of good guys there doing the modeling and everything. Get a decent amount done. Don't get as much done as what you get on the bench by yourself because there's a lot of good humor and conversations going on during those hours. So I was able to get a little bit of work done this morning on the bench there, and then I'm going to get a little bit more done here today before I go out with some friends later tonight. So I'm going to get the camera turned around. I'm going to show you what I got done this morning, and then we're going to get to work on some more detail painting for the interior and the figures as well. So I will see you in 1 second. Alright, so far this morning, got done with the chipping on the flight deck right here, and then on the back side where the operator, the AW, is sitting back here, and then along the edge along the back door right here where everybody's entering and exiting the helicopter. So we got that done. Yes, it seems like it's a little bit over chipped, and yes it is, but I'm not really too worried about it because there's going to be pilots in here and it's all going to be closed up, so you're really not going to be able to see the deck anyway. So that part's done, and then we started doing some chipping and paint on the operator's desk right here. We're going to have 3D printed decals to go onto here, really liven this up. And then we started off with the seats, painted the seat cushions with the NATO black right here as just a little bit of difference on the seat cushions. Really, again, we're going to have the figures sitting on that anyways, which I'm getting to next. I started painting the figures from Reed Oak, and here is how he sits on the seat right here. That's how he's going to look, and zoom in a little bit more so you can see these figures on here. Now, I am not an expert on painting figures. I black based this with the Stynylrez primer black, and then I came with some MRP sand to paint the flight suit because it's over in the Persian Gulf, so they wore the desert tan flight suits. And now I'm starting with the SV2 harness, the survival harness that they wear on that. So starting paint on that. We got the helmet painted with the MRP Aqualine black and white, and I still have some detail painting to do with the comm cord and the comm boom right here, and then also some other detail parts on that as well. So we got all the pilot figures started. As you can see, this one right here, same level of detail, and then the other two are the same deal. So that's where we're standing right now. I'm going to continue painting these using Tamiya NATO black and other Tamiya colors, along with the MRP Aqualine paints with this. So that's where they're looking right now. Happy with how they're turning out, and I will see you in a little bit at the end of this video. Alright, it's time to start painting some figures using the basic flesh tone from MRP Aqualine. Just going to go in here and paint the flesh. These are my favorite type of figures, the ones that have very little skin tone to them, because they are covered up with the helmet and visors and all that. The only thing that can make it even better is if it was a actual fighter aircraft that had an oxygen mask and there was no skin tone. So went in, got the skin tone down on all of those. I'm going to have a little bit of touch-up paint to do afterwards, because I did slip up and get a little bit on the visor in a couple instances, but very easy for a touch-up on that. So getting all those done, making sure we check the back of the neck on some of them. Some of them you can see the back of the neck, others you can't. But getting all those done and then moving right along, you can see this guy, he's missing the middle finger, so he can't do the international symbol of love with the bird, you know, the bird. So getting those hands painted, that, like I said, won't really be visible, so I'm not going to be worried about going super detailed on the skin on the hands. And then for the skin on the faces, it's hard to see the faces on these figures because of the helmets and the visors and all that. Alright, up next we got the NATO black. We're going to do some of the detail parts like the mic boom and the chin strap for the helmets, and also later on we're going to go in and paint the seat belts with this NATO black as well. Was having an issue with the Tamiya paint being a little bit too thick, so I had to go in with some Mr. Surfacer leveling thinner to pour it in the bottle, mix it up, and got it back to a consistency that I could brush paint with again. I think after all the clear coats and everything are done on the figures, I'm going to go in with that aqua, or not the aqua, but the UV clear resin and brush that onto the face shields to give that glass look on the face shields. That'll be done next week. I'm going to also go back in and touch up with a little bit of the white on the helmet too. Although I don't want the helmets to be too bright and white because I want to show this as worn, and the helmets weren't really like bright white. The tape was starting to fade, the soulless tape or reflective tape that was on the helmets. I'm also debating on hand painting on the Night Dipper's eyes onto the back of one or two of the helmets. Might have to give it a try, and then if it works, I'll do it, and then if it doesn't work, I can always just paint over it again. But I think that would be a nice addition to the helmets to actually give them some additional life. Helmets would get scuffed up from being in helmet bags or in lockers or anything like that. So, like I said, they're not going to be pristine and white. They're going to have some scuff marks and all that going on. So, I don't know. We'll have to see. I might touch up some areas, especially like where the NATO black around the comms box kind of bled. But other than that, I don't think I'm going to do too much on the touch-ups. Now we're getting the NATO black on the seat belts. Here's nice different gray. And getting it into the lap belt is going to be a little bit tight, but we'll get it done. And then along the harness as well. Moving on to the other pilot, the pilot in command. Getting those seatbelts painted. When I attach the pilots to the seats, I'm going to have to use some foil and tape to connect the seat belts to the actual seats. We'll go over that later in the next coming videos. We did start with a guy that had a nub for a middle finger, so it is not a disqualifying fact for the military, or at least it wasn't back then. But it was funny because when you'd see him, he'd try to give you the finger, and it would just be a little nub that would show up. So that was kind of the joke. Now we're going to come in with the AK Olive Drab Faded, and we're going to do the gunner's belt. That goes around the guy that's going to be on the jump seat near the door. Back with more of the faded olive drab. Took me a little bit to figure out the correct color for the survival vest. Started off with the olive green from MRP, Didn't like that color, so I tried the olive drab faded and ended up not liking that color either. So I went back with the MRP khaki, and that's the color I decided to stick with. And then with the actual flotation, the neck harness, I'm going to go with the uh, Israeli pale green for the actual flotation, the neck flotation on that. I think that looks a lot better. So now I'm using the MRP Aqualine khaki to paint the survival vest all around. A lot of nice detail on these 3D printed figures from Reed Oak. It's so sad that he went out of business or retired because he definitely had the best figures on the market. Now, ResKit, their figures are very nice, and also you have R2 Miniatures and a couple other companies that do have some very nice 3D printed figures as well. But at the time, these were the only ones on the market, and these were, I mean, light years ahead of even the closest thing that came to it. So again, really sad that Reed Oak is no longer in business, but I'm glad that I was able to get the figures that he had, and also he kind of started what ResKit and R2 Miniatures and all the other companies that are doing these 3D printed figures are doing, and he's the reason why we have the high quality figures that we have in these scales right now. Right now I'm going in with the pale green, is the Israeli pale green, to do the neck flotation on it. And I think once it's all painted, it took a couple coats to get it to look right, but I think that looks 100 times better than what any of the other greens did on this, especially with the khaki for the survival vest. Alright, so that's going to be it for today. And got a good amount of painting done on those figures. Still have some more touch-ups to do, and also to do the rest of the survival harnesses on the other 3 figures. But after that, all the figures are pretty much done. And then we have a few more little parts to do some detail painting on for the interior. And after that, everything is done. So I'm going to go ahead and get off camera. I'm going to go ahead and take care of that stuff. So next week, everything is going to be clear coated so I can start applying the 3D printed decals for the interior. And then we can matte coat it and start doing a little bit more weathering for the interior. And then we're going to start getting everything assembled for the interior so we can close everything up. So that's the plan for next week. And then the following weeks, we're going to be doing the exterior, which has a lot of work to do with replacing all the rivets. And I'm going to show you how I do that. It's a long, tedious task, but it pays off in the very end. And so, yeah, that's the plan for the next couple weeks. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't yet, don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell button for notifications of when I post future content of the Seahawk build or any of the other 5 builds that I have going on. Had to do a recount right there because I just finished one on Thursday. But anyways, thank you guys for watching and sticking around. I will see you guys next week. And until then, I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you later.